Hey everyone. I know many of you probably by now have heard our little debacle with water. I did do a blog post about it earlier today, so I know some of you who may see this will have already read that, so you already know essentially the story of what happened. But I do have a few friends who have told me they prefer to just watch a video or listen instead of read. So I thought I'm going to honor that and share our fun from the last week. I do want to begin by saying I do not take water for granted. That's just I've always loved water. I think I've shared before about just growing up, always wanting to be near the water, always having water with me everywhere I went. Water's just part of life for me. When Annika was, I think she was 5, she became dehydrated, and we didn't realize that she was dehydrated because she kept drinking water. She never stopped. I think there was maybe half a day where she wasn't drinking water, but she wasn't feeling well. She was very nauseous. And she had been sick to her stomach, and so she just stopped drinking water for maybe half a day, and then the next day she just didn't eat anything, but then she was just drinking constantly, and it took a while at the Children's Hospital for them to realize that she was dehydrated because she wasn't showing the signs necessarily of dehydration. So they checked her blood sugars. That was kind of the last thing they did, was check her blood sugar levels, and that's when they realized she was dehydrated. And so they gave her some electrolytes, and she bounced back and she was fine. So from a very early time point, water has been a crucial thing, which is why Annika is very motivated to partner with World Vision and do the 6K as well, because water is important. So again, we don't take water for granted. But when we bought our house about 7 years ago, one of the things that home inspector said was that we would need to address the plumbing soon. The plumbing in the house was just old. Everything was fine at that point. It passed inspection, but it was just old, and he said it was going to need to be replaced soon. The supply from the main, the pipe was, galvanized steel. He said that, it was very narrow because it was so outdated. So he said that was, the water in our house was not a low water pressure, it was a low water supply. So anytime you would be using water from any one source, there wouldn't be very much water coming from anything else you tried to turn on after the fact. But it was doable. So we were making do with that, figuring, okay, we'll slowly save up, right? But of course, having very restricted diets and 2 kiddos who are gluten-free, and one of them who he just eats all the time, and he needs to because he has such a fast metabolism. It's kind of hard to really save up a whole lot. Anytime that we would have some money, we were working towards saving, something would come up inevitably, and that money would get used up. And we'd always say, okay, we'll replace it. But then, we need a new car, or this needs repaired, or, we need to fly out for, whatever event. So that just was backburnered. About a year ago, we started having a leak from the tub. Just a constant drip. We tried to fix it over the summer. It didn't go so well because it was so corroded, and so then we couldn't push it back. The thing, it's hard to describe because I'm not a plumber, but when you try to push it back to close it, well, we didn't get it pushed back all the way, so it left the valve open a little bit, and so there was a constant drizzle. So So I thought, okay, well, we'll deal with it, right? And then about a month ago, the sink in the bathroom had also been dripping. It was just a constant drip. Nothing we could do. We couldn't, it was just the hot water was constantly dripping. But then a month ago, the hot water stopped working other than that drip. We couldn't turn the faucet. We could turn the faucet, but nothing came out. It was just drip, 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 So at that point, we realized, okay, we need to get a plumber. This is not going to work. So we had some plumbers come up and give some estimates, and it's not cheap, in case you're curious, to replumb your house and replumb the main as well. It's not cheap. But we figured out a way to make it work. We're very happy with the plumbers we went with. However, there was a breakdown in communication. And the plumber, the plumbers, they took ownership of that, and they tried to make things right. But this is what happened. We were informed ahead of time that we would have water interruption on Wednesday and Thursday, just for a couple of hours each time. And that, that would be it, as they replaced pipes and whatnot. So that was what we were anticipating. I had checked with the pastor at the church that we had been a part of for so long, and we're still a part of, but we just now have grown the places we attend. But he had said, yes, absolutely, we could come and use the bathroom while our water was shut off, and yes, we could bring the kids there to the nursery to play and do Daniel's therapy while the water was off. So we had that in mind, and we had that arranged, and we did that. But Wednesday, the water had turned off at 10:30, and we're thinking, okay, so a few hours, we should have it back around, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. No, that didn't happen. In fact, the plumbers were actually gone for a couple of hours around then. We think they went to lunch and to get supplies. But then at about 3:30, Jared noticed they were they had covered up the hole on the sidewalk, from when they replaced the main, put out a couple of cones, and they were getting ready to go. And Jared's going, and we didn't have any water on, so we're going, okay, well, that's weird. And so Jared ran out there to say, hey, what's going on? Are you going to be turning the water back on? No, they'd cut the lines so water would not be doable until the next day when they could lay new lines. So no water at 3:30, we're finding out. And so suddenly we had to find somewhere else to stay the night with our 3 kids and Daniel having special needs and all of that, because, no, we're not gonna stay with no water overnight. So thankfully we were able to go and stay at Jared's parents' house. They were, they said, yeah, absolutely, come stay, and they have enough beds, and we were able to go, and it ended up being a late night, but we were very thankful. We got back home early enough in the day to kind of get things going with therapy and get the animals taken care of, meet the plumbers. But by the time all was said and done, more needed to be done than was anticipated. And so we ended up having to stay a second night at Jared's parents. But they did get the water turned back on, and they told us they would have to come back on Monday. They wanted to give us the weekend with the water running, be able to relax in our own home. Then they'd come back on Monday to install the new hot water tank and get the line hooked up to the washing machine. So there was no water supply going to the washing machine. So Saturday found us taking our laundry to Jared's parents to wash our clothes because no water. Monday, we had them come. They put the new water heater in. They installed the new water line to the washing machine, and then discovered they couldn't get the power to go to the water heater. Something happened. A fuse blew. We're not exactly sure what. They said, yeah, we're sorry that, this is our limits. We can't do the electric. So then it was okay. No hot water. And it's surprisingly cold right now this year in the Pacific Northwest for April. We have had snow and below freezing temperatures, and so no hot water. That cold water when you're washing your hands, it hurts. And trying to wash dishes with that frigid water is also, well, I had to use a kettle and hot water that way. Today, we had an electrician come, and it did not take nearly so long as we thought it would, maybe an hour. And we had power go into the hot water. I cannot tell you, I wanted to hug the hot water. I was so thankful to have that hot water. Again, we don't take water for granted. We don't take hot water for granted. But now we appreciate it so much more after having spent a week with our water interrupted, with no hot water, but through this whole time, we've just seen God's hands in everything, because not only did, we have the church down the corner saying, yes, come use the bathrooms. Yes, come use the nursery while the water's being worked on. And then we had Jared's parents saying, yes, come and stay. Yes, come do your laundry. We also had friends send us a gift card for the grocery store, because we were suddenly displaced and having to figure out how to, feed everybody when we were not at home. We had friends offering to drop off meals. We had people, sending messages saying, hey, can I send you money to have you go to a hotel if you don't have anywhere else to go? And yesterday, my grandmother and my aunt kind of tagged team together to get the kids and I over to get showers at my grandmother's house. It's just all these things, just, the little blessings that you just don't think of at the time. And it kind of stood out to me. I had been reading in Jeremiah 29:13, and this is in, I want to say the New King James. And it says, and you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. That's true in seeking him, just to have a relationship with him. But I think we can also look at it and go, even in the hard circumstances, if you look for him, you'll find him in all those little blessings that are in those hard times. The little things that are just him going, hey, I'm here. I've got you. You're not alone. You have support. And then I also today was reading in Psalm 62 verse 8. This one's in the NASB 1995. I go through a lot of different Bible versions. I just enjoy them all. Well, almost all. But this says, trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. And then it ends with Selah. And I think that Selah is good because that's a pause. It's a time to pause and reflect and think back on that. Trust in him at all times. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. And I think for me, this last week, the initial reaction is, oh my goodness, what am I going to do without water? It's that initial, shock, anxiety, and then more stuff coming out. All of a sudden we need an electrician out here. How are we going to afford that? So it's that initial thing. But you stop and you realize he is your refuge. If you live surrendered to God, he is your refuge. He is your strong tower. And he's going to support you through it, even when you don't understand. So that's my thoughts for the day, for the week. And so thankful to have hot water. Enjoy your hot water, my friends. Enjoy your water. And if you want to support clean water, now's a great time to go look into different avenues of doing that. The kids and I are walking... Annika and I are walking with the World Vision 6K this May. You can go on to World Vision and just look at their clean water project if you'd like to contribute that way. You can look at a great organization called Her Arts in Action. And you can also read the blog post I posted earlier. I think I posted it both on Instagram and Facebook if you would prefer to read. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night and week, and don't take water for granted. Have a wonderful night.